strategic decision making in a procurement, balancing outsourcing and insourcing. And for the same, I would like to introduce the speaker. With over 30 years of experience across diverse industries, Mr. Ajay Singh is a distinguished supply chain transformational business leader. He currently serves as the Vice President of Supply Chain Management at Hindustan Platinum Private Limited and has earned numerous awards, including the prestigious Top 20 Visionary Supply Chain Leader of the Year 2023 and the Transformational Procurement Leader of the 2023 awards. His track record of professional excellence is exemplified by awards like the Transformational Leader Awards 2019 from the Institute of Supply Chain Management and the Export Award from in 2009. Among others, let's have a huge round of applause for Mr. Ajay Singh, Vice President Supply Chain Management at Hindustan Platinum.
Good morning. I think thanks, Sridhar, for setting the context of this today's session. I think it is very imperative for us today, sitting with all these professionals, for procurement being a functions, as he mentioned about, we are in this room managing more than a $10 billion business. But one thing is very clear that if any moment of time, if you see worldwide, more than 5 trillion materials worth is moving across the continents, if you see. So you can imagine the dearth of the importance the procurement carries always. And this is the topic of the discussion whole of the today. My session will be based on this procurement innovations, which will be, I'll be covering into 3 parts. One is that so before I proceed, I'll just give my introduction. I think already it will be given. I'll not take much of a time. I represent a company called Hindustan Platinum as a head of supply chain function. And we are in the industry, in the precious metal segment. And we serve almost all the 5 continents, almost 50 plus countries. We serve with our finished goods of material. So the topic which I'll be talking today is basically on the strategic decisions to make before your outsourcing and insourcing. All of us are doing a bits and pieces of outsourcing and insourcing, considering major part is availability of material across the globe. And one thing is very clear, always be in our mind and the procurement professional is about the cost aspects. Always we see comparing the cost aspects. So how this will be in the future, how this will be going to be connected. So my topic of discussion will be little bit diversifying how will be going to happening in the near future. On the interconnected world, we all know that the whole world is interconnected. How our procurement policies will be depending upon these interconnected things. Then the situation, current situation, how it is there. And as Sridhar says about this, the ESG is coming a very big role to play. And as you know that COP26 is going to happen next month in Dubai. And by 2050, the world has taken an oath that by 2050 will be carbon net neutral. So where our stand is there, whether we have already started or what will be our stand of this thing. Because as a procurement professional, our role is very imperative on this sustainability. So sustainability will not come with a very cost optimization. There will be cost adding to it. Then how role will be going to play to achieve the balancing out between the cost and the environmental which will be there for our next generations. So if you see the whole world, we cannot eliminate that we are not interconnected. If you see the worldwide, whether it's a goods, it is a services, it's data, everything is interconnected. If you see from India, we are the largest data center services provider of the world. There is a concept started during post-COVID about China Plus. India has become a place where this specialty chemicals started flourishing the world. We are now one of the largest suppliers for the specialty chemicals across from India to across globe. And we cannot eliminate this interconnections requirement across the globe because as a country, it cannot fulfill the requirement of everything. Because if you see as an example, for a precious metal, the ores mines are available only like in Australia, South Africa, Russia, and those regions. We don't have those mines. So we have to be dependent upon these countries. Same way for various minerals, material, there is an interconnection. This we need to be a very primitive. We have to keep in our mind that how these things we have to keep in our focus before we do the strategy for our procurement. So what is the challenge? The challenge, therefore, is to harness the benefit out of it. We have always be challenge of not only from procurement, we will have a challenge from logistically. We have seen post-COVID or during COVID, the logistics costs were gone 20 times, 25 times. And all our decisions were gone haywire. But now again you can see now today the logistics costs are pre-2018, pre-2019 period. So now again you have a complexity or you have a leverage of bringing this material from wherever you used to start earlier in 2018-19. So the products are being concentrated still at the point of origins. So depending upon the organization, depending upon your requirement of material, you need to focus on these interconnected things. So despite we have seen this disruption in COVID, the acceleration of industry or requirement has gone up multifold. Now suddenly you see the trend which is going on the mind of people who are, especially you might be seeing it in our organization, almost every industry segment are seeing it to the highest gratitude of the requirements. Whether you take it to pharma, electronics, automotives, you can see the dearth of requirement going up and up always. So there are, if you see the intangible trade and capital has increased, people are looking into the area where they can add the value or they can add the capital investment to take the most output out of it. So, and if you see the trades, the 2021 has shown a record high. We never imagined during COVID that such a fast pace the whole economy will take it again in the terms of that. So, but that is the period. If you see, the demand has holistically has changed the across game of the business. And 2022, 2023, we are seeing the highest growth perspective which are coming into the disruptions. We can see that Asia Pacific, including China, is the largest player in this market and remain will be there in the market because the volatility in Europe. We have seen Ukraine-Russia war. We are seeing it last almost 1.5 years. We have seen now the Israel-Palestine war started already. Now it is 5th day today. So there are a lot of disruption will be happening. So Asia Pacific will going to rule the world. There's no doubt about it, whether it is China changing into Taiwan or changing into Vietnam or to India. So this is going to be, and if you see that a certain percentage of the rule, around more than 25% of things is how the things are moving from a country to country. The energy, resources, and for the intermediate goods, which is moving from a one space to another space. Now, recently what we have seen in the Ukraine-Russia war, the energy crisis which has went to Europe, they had to source their energy from country like US and other countries. So you can imagine the cost escalations and the availability. Because when these things happens in any of the organization or any country, the first thing comes in our mind is what? To at least get the material. Then the cost objectives go away from that. First thing is that we have to operate, we have to run the production. Then the cost objective. So there are various things which is coming. Now we are also hearing a lot of things, near-shoring, offshoring things. I'll cover a little bit of that. But is it going to play the role? Yes, we cannot do everything near-shoring. It depends upon the type of material available to you. For example, various Middle East countries and North African countries, they are actually trend up like they are importing a lot of products and the services. But still they are ruling in the region because they are all totally heavy dependent on the imports. In the country like if you see in the Brazil or Argentina, two of the largest grain exporters, but they import 100% of their fertilizers. So you can imagine the connection between your basic requirement to final goods. So we cannot eliminate these interconnected things, and this we have to always keep in mind. Because resource, one type, the resource, where to get these resources, how to utilize these resources, this has to be kept in your mind. What we intend to forget always in a procurement about the geopolitical things, how it is happening. You always focus on this cost objectives, availability, L1, L2, L3, all these things you always work on. The thing which is going to be there in future is interconnected things where you need to look into very prospectively from the which world, how your tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 performance suppliers are really working. You have to go to that depth. I think we have all learned during the COVID period, going not only from T1 supplier to TN suppliers, last mile of suppliers. Suppose if I am getting a precious metal like silver, then from where the ores are there, from which mine it is coming, what is the source of it, who is doing the refining out of it, who is converting into the pure metal, and from where it is moving. So all these things has to actually, we have learned all these things, and it is a beautiful example for all of us as a procurement professional to at least the history has given us the learning point. Also, you can see the transactional changes, what has happened. You have seen the changes, how it has happened, and it is a data which shows us 2000 year it is Y2K happened. All of us has gone through the phases. 2009, the financial crisis happened. 2019, the COVID was there. So what is the pattern shows? Every 10 years, some disruptions are happening. Are we aligned to those disruptions? Are we ready for those disruptions? So we need to look into those aspects. So apart from procurement, your procurement process, policies, you need to look upon all the geopolitical and the world economy. This is always going to be there, and we need to be ready for that. Why we are so much of talking about interconnections? So I have given some example of like metals, because I work in this industry. So if you see the segment over here, every countries or every continent has some reserve of metals. And you have to be dependent upon that. If you see the platinum part of it, the Russia is ruling the world currently. So you need to be dependent upon for those raw material, those material on Russia. For energy, like a country like India, we are heavily import dependent on for our crude. We don't produce crude. So how to, and that is where comes the geopolitical relations between the countries to country, and how we can make it possible for this. So one thing always keep in mind about this interconnection. Second thing is that how the global situation is happening today in the world. Every segment of our procurement or supply chain is going into a various format, like we are living into segmentations, because every vertical we have to look into in a segment wise, how it will be carried on. We have to see the whole supply chain dynamics, how it is performing. And as already I think we are discussing a lot on the asset light organizations. A whole network we are talking about asset light. When we talk about logistics, we talk about heavy asset network. But when we in supply chain as a procurement function, we have always to see that how asset light network we are carrying, meaning how the whole overhead cost is, we are at least making it so much happen that we are leveraging the whole ecosystem out of it. Because from where it will come to a function, because always be there that you have a competitions. Ultimately, organization has to survive in the market with the competition. So what the pressure will come to all of us is on the cost objective, because 60 to 80% of the material cost is the material what we are procuring. So that is where the whole onus of responsibility is there for all of us to carry. So we need to work upon all these segmentations. Data and applied intelligence, because nowadays we talk a lot of data management, because everywhere we are talking about some other tools. And I think in the procurement functions and as a supply chain functions, we hear a lot of add-on data, because ERP we have seen, whether it is SAP, Oracle, we have gone with like so many supportive tools are being available today. Whether it is really going to help you or not, that is a question, and we need to look into very diligently for your organization which data point or which these tools are supporting to you. I have just discussed a little bit about this trade wars, and we need to be very careful on this. We have seen 2017-18, the China-US trade war, which has happened. You must imagine that 20,000 line items has been suddenly gone into a list where it has been escalated from 0% to 5% to 10% of custom duty. You can imagine the trade. Same way in India, we have seen various disruptions happening. Recently, we have seen rollback of this increases in these electronic gadgets, but still there is a dilemma thing happening, whether it has to be going to be implemented in month of November or not, whether government is going to roll back this thing. So this is be there, and we have to be very alertive on this procurement function centric about a country specific. We have to be very careful what geopolitical situations are working and where we are really looking into concentration. If you are concentrated only on one country, then it will become very difficult. You need to have your plan B, plan C with you so that you will be able to survive in the whole context. Otherwise, it will be very difficult, because whether it is a trade wars, whether it is a COVID or any disruptions, is going to be make life very miserable for us. So we need to work on those areas. A lot of things has been talked about now on the offshoring, reshoring basis. We have seen various industrial verticals which are now being working on this, whether it is, you can say, aerospace, like in India itself, you can see in the defense mechanism, we are trying, organizations like government organizations, they are trying for 70 to 80% of reshoring or making India as a viable for defense sector. Electronics, electrical industry are already looking into it. We have, I think, the highest Apple brand is being exported highest from India to other countries now. So a lot of things are happening in the pharmaceutical. Is one of the biggest example we have seen during COVID. As per the estimation of some reports, we can see around more than 25% plus the reshoring will be happening. But the way the whole global economy is emerging, this is not a threat. This is a good for the organization and good for us, so that at least it is going to be neutralize the whole thing. Once it is a reshoring happening, there is a opportunity for others to explore the market. So close to around $6 to $7 trillion of reshoring already is happening. You are generating the revenues for the whole nearshoring or nearby countries, and around 47% already people have implemented it. Already it has been there. Only the phraseology or some addition to it has happened, but this has already been there. I do not go to those details because already we all work on this. Just wanted to rephrase all of us in mind. Then we need to look into a very critical our spend analysis, our market research, which is always be a lacuna in our procurement functions. So that has to be a very big point to always keep in mind, that how the market research are being there for your product or your material, what you are importing. or you are getting for your product, your all whole RFX processes, your negotiations, not only the based on cost, but all other factors. Then you have a onboarding process. Now we no more talk about this supplier, we talk about this supplier relationship management. So how you deal with this is very important. And the whole monitoring performance of your supplier relationship management is a very, very critical role for all of us. We need to see the forecasting, as we all see that, okay, the forecasting always is a very heavy, almost 50 to, not more than 50 to 60% forecast accuracy is there. So how to align those things in our procurement processes. So how you can clearly quantitative your spend analysis or in spend forecasting you are doing it. How qualitative spend forecasting is being looked into it. Cost drivers, where are the points which can at least support your whole factor, your market trends, currency fluctuation. Always see that, okay, currency fluctuates a lot. Every week you are seeing the currency fluctuations, how to monitor those things, how you can do the hedging part of it, how you can monitor those, your imports or material, what you are getting it. Then your spend patterns. The last point which I wanted to cover is about this ESG part of it, because sustainability, environmental, social and governance, the sustainability has come a big role to play to us. And 2050, as the Government of India also has committed for net neutral zero. So how we are committing ourselves on this perspective. So ESG, that US and Europe already they started. In India, we are yet to start a lot of things. We need to work on this area. And net zero resilience is going to give your business a kick. No doubt it will be there that the next revolution, next 5 decades, 10 decades will be the world where unless and until you are going to be a sustainable procurement, you are not going to survive. And on the various, whether you are doing the benchmarking, you can think of your whole engage, how you are engaging your suppliers or your supplier relationship management on this, how they are equipped, the small SMEs, MSMEs, how they are looking into their portfolio of the complete aspect out of it. So this is very critical for all of us to take it forward, understand the process in our own organization and going forward. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your insights, sir, and I would request you to kindly stay on the stage. And now I would request Mr. Mukesh Nandan Jha, General Manager, Supply Chain and Logistics from Vikran Engineering, to kindly join us on the stage for felicitation.